The Honorable Deputy President.
Honorable Speaker, this matter dealing with the immigration regulations as introduced in 2014 seeks to strike, the regulations themselves seek to strike a balance between the need by our country for national security, to honor our international obligations, and also to advance our own developmental agenda. However, as indicated by the President earlier, the implementation of the regulations as announced did result in some unintended consequences, particularly in the area of tourism, as we saw the tourist numbers dipping down. The recommendations of the Interministerial Committee, which were adopted by Cabinet on the 21st of October, cover a number of areas. During the course of the IMC's deliberations, it identified two areas in particular that discouraged tourists from visiting South Africa following the amendment to the regulations. These were firstly the requirement that visitors apply for visas in person at the relevant South African mission, and secondly, the requirement that minor children visiting South Africa from visa-exempt countries should carry with them an unabridged birth certificate and an affidavit indicating their parental consent. Now, to address the requirement of in-person visa application, the following measures, amongst others, have been adopted. Firstly, in countries where no South African missions exist, postal applications will now be accepted, where if you want to visit South Africa, you would be able to apply by post. Thereafter, the biometric details and photos of those travelers will be captured on arrival at a port of entry. Over the course of the next 3 months, the capturing of biometrics at ports of entry will be implemented, and this will be an ongoing pilot process at OR Tambo International, Cape Town International, and King Shaka International. Secondly, selected companies in certain countries, particularly China, India, and Russia, will be accredited to facilitate visa application processes. The establishment of additional visa application centers in key countries has also been prioritized, and these will be rolled out in quite a number of countries. To address the requirements for children traveling to South Africa, the following measures, amongst others, have been adopted. Minor children visiting South Africa from those countries that are visa exempt will no longer be required to present unabridged birth certificates and parental consent affidavit on boarding their flights to South Africa. The adults accompanying the minor children will instead be advised to travel with a proof of relationship and consent from absent parents or guardians should they be asked to do so at random. Now, this is in line with practices that prevail in a number of countries, and countries such as the UK practice precisely this type of approach. Should anyone be required to prove their parental relationship or consent to travel with minors, they'll be asked to produce relevant documents upon arrival at ports of entry. Now, this is done in a number of countries. Minor children from countries that require South African visas will still need to produce these documents as part of the visa application process. In other words, as they go to apply for visas from those countries where we require visas, they will be required to produce these documents, as happens in a number of other countries. This is in line with, as I said, many other countries' practices. The measures adopted by Cabinet follow extensive deliberation as well as research. And we did quite a lot of international benchmarking as the IMC. These measures ease the visa application process and remove onerous requirements for visitors traveling with children without compromising our country's security or undermining our efforts to combat child trafficking. Madam Speaker, these measures will address negative perceptions about the ease of travel to South Africa and help to ensure that South Africa remains a destination of choice for both tourists and business people. Our efforts to protect our children remain robust and undiminished. Requirements with respect to South African children who are leaving the country with their parents and those visiting from other countries which require South African visas will remain in place. The new measures will be implemented in a phased manner, as I said, over the next course of a few months, and the process will also be overseen by the IMC, which will be meeting regularly to examine progress that is being made in this regard. So this matter remains firmly on our radar screen, and we will be able to deal with whatever problems and challenges that travelers to our country will experience. Thank you, Madam Speaker.